Hi guys, I'm back and today I have a pretty exciting video for you because it is import week. I picked up my imports yesterday and I'm very excited about them. It's a super small import, which is why I felt like doing this kind of video was going to be perfect because it's a very manageable amount. I do have one import video from when I imported from Ecuagenera, and I will throw up the thumbnail here. And this is just kind of the process in kind of what I do to make sure that like it goes through as little amount of shock as possible, and how I make sure there's no pests and blah blah blah. So I didn't want to be redundant again because my process is pretty similar, but I wanted to show you sort of the acclimation process again, and why I'm gonna choose to do it this way just based on how the plants look. And then I'm gonna wait a month. Maybe even longer if I'm not too anxious to get this video up. I just kind of want to document over the next few weeks like what I'm observing with any leaf loss or root damage or stem damage. Like just kind of want to show you what to expect in that first month when you acclimatize, and then I'll just give you a 1 month update and just show you what they look like. So yeah, this is going to be sort of a long form video. I've never filmed a long form video before, but I'm trying to get better at doing it. Because there are a few videos that I want to do that are long form, but it's just kind of that, what is it? Dedication? No, what is it when you're strict on yourself? Oh God, I'm so annoyed with myself. You have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined. So yeah, it's like getting on a schedule to be like, oh yeah, I need to do an update on this and actually do it. And so yeah, there's a lot of discipline that comes with doing long form videos, and I respect a lot of people that have the patience and the determination to do it, but I'm gonna try to be better this year at doing it. So this is gonna be my first long form video. And yeah, so anywho, the first plant that I got, I'm gonna start really small, literally small. So this is the Philodendron Bicolor Mini Purple. And if I can remember correctly, I believe this one was, oh God, I think this was either, I'll throw up the prices of the plants on the screen, but I believe this one was 13 USD. So, it's a lot smaller than I thought it was gonna be. This thing is tiny, it looks like road grass. And I got multiple people that messaged me after my import list planning video went up, and they were like, don't get that plant. It's so ugly, it's so underwhelming, and you're gonna hate it. I'm not gonna sit here and say I hate it just yet, but I will say that I am completely underwhelmed. I have yet to know what it feels like. I have never seen one in person. I've never felt one in person. I have no idea if this thing is able to size up or not. I mean, it's literally called a mini purple. So if it stays like this, I don't know. I don't know if I would keep it long term, because I have no use for a plant that stays this small. I don't have a terrarium. If I had a terrarium, like sure, like that would be a great terrarium plant. But a plant like this that just grows like this all the time would absolutely annoy me. So first touch. Okay. It's kind of what I expected it to feel like. So I will say that I actually quite enjoy the color of this plant. I enjoy the texture of it and the sheen. You guys can see it's got sort of like a velvety sheen to it, and it feels like what a Burle Marx Fantasy feels like, with a little bit more velvetyness. So I don't know, I actually, okay, maybe not velvetyness. What am I thinking of? It's like a leathery feel. Rating out of 10, a little bit disappointed in the size because it is, I know it's a mini purple, but the photos on their website were much larger than this. So I'm gonna say right now I give this like a 5 out of 10 in terms of happiness level. So that's the first one. So second one is my Anthurium pallidiflorum. I wanted to get another one just because, I don't know, I love this plant so much. I feel like the one that I have now just doesn't like me, so I wanted to have a backup just in case. So much fluffs. At the show, they had a few pallidiflorums and they were so long and narrow. Jing and Alice both got one, and I was like, I hope that mine is skinny and narrow too, because I would love to have one that, like, because if you look at my current pallidiflorum, like these are about the same size in terms of, or like the same, I guess, age, maturity level, about the same. And like, look at how skinny this leaf is right here compared to this one. It's like a lot thicker. So yeah, we were really drawn to how like long and skinny these were and just narrow and delicious. So I was like, I really hope mine is the same, and it is, and I'm so excited because this thing is beautiful, and oh my gosh, the way it feels, it's just so buttery and delicious. And obviously, you know, it's always gonna look the best that it looks out of the box. I've had imports where they looked pristine, and then after a few days they just start declining. So I don't get too excited for sure, but I am very impressed at the quality of the plant, just off the, like, out of the box. Like, it's in really great shape. There's no sort of like damage to the leaves besides this little curly guy here, but like no yellowing leaves. Like, look how cute the oldest leaf is. It's so narrow. I have never seen one this freaking narrow before. So I'm very happy about this. Obviously, I don't know what the root situation looks like, but we're gonna find out today. The other one that I got, and I did have a peek at this yesterday, is the Elaphoglossum metallicum. If you watched that video that I filmed with Alice where we were planning our import, you'll know that we got so freaking excited about this one, and we were so like anxious about what it would actually look like. We thought maybe it would be green and like not as magical, but this plant did not disappoint. Now I have to give Alice a massive shout out, because we ordered two, and one of them looked like an ancient dumpster Elaphoglossum. It looked like it had been through a fire. It did not look great, and she took that one and gave me this one. But look at how, stop. I can't handle this. I can't handle it. I can't. Who said? Who freaking said? Guys, it's so, I feel like it's so rare that you order a plant that you are purely looking at like Instagram photos, and obviously people are gonna post the best of the best on Instagram and have that expectation, and then like get an import and this is what it looks like. I'm not okay. I wish I could split this, because I really wanted Alice to also have one that she can like be excited about right away, and I just feel regret in my heart for not ordering more, because these were only like 20 bucks US, and I think it's so worth it. Now, I don't know jack crap about this plant. I don't know anything about it. So I'm very nervous. I have to do some research today on like what they like and what their conditions are, because I don't want to take any risks with this plant. But yeah, I love it. I will say the growth pattern is really weird. I'm not used to having plants like this, but this is the year of expanding our horizons, and I'm just so happy to have this one as like my first guy to, you know, get into a totally different genus, and like, oh, I love it. The sheen is just so delicious. What is that? She's like an alien being. I just love her. if it weren't for this other one that I'm about to show you, I would say that this is the one that I'm most excited about, but this is like the one that I'm second most excited about. Although I'm excited about my Pally too. I think this is just such a great little import, and I'm smitten. So the last one I got is another plant that's been on my wish list for a while, and that's an Anthurium veitchii super narrow. So the reason why this specific one I have not acquired yet is because in past imports, when people order the super narrow, it's not actually a narrow, it's just like the regular veitchii, and I didn't want to risk it. So Alice made a good call. She said, how about we just wait until the event and you can pick one in person and make sure that it is a super narrow. And if you watch my week of plant to-dos that went up in February, you can see some of the other specimens that they had there. They had ones that were like triple this size for double the price, and they were so beautiful. If I was, I don't know, I'm a lot more right in the mind now when I'm purchasing plants, like, because before it's like, oh, what's $100 here? What's $120 there? And then like you add it all up and you're like, holy crap, I spent $2,000 on plants this month. So we're not in that space anymore. But for $50 Canadian, there's no way that I could have passed this up. No freaking way. And it's exactly the kind of veitchii that I was looking for, and I'm just so happy. I am a little sad that this new leaf got squished because it would have been really cute. I mean, it might straighten itself out. Ow, something's in my eye. It might straighten itself out, but like, guys, look at these freaking ribs. I'm not okay. And the way that this feels, nope. I can't. So here are the older leaves, and I'm so happy. I can't believe that I used to not like this plant. Who was I? Who did I think I was? This is just such an incredible plant. So I hope that I have good luck acclimatizing this, because I would be pretty devastated if this one didn't make it. But she's in pretty good shape. The whole import was in great shape, honestly, especially since they've been in a box for a while. It is quite cold here. Like, I'm just impressed at how well the plants did. Yeah, that was it for my import. I think the next thing that we're gonna do now is go into the plant room, and we're gonna get these unearthed and kind of see what's going on in there and give you guys a peek at the root systems, and then I will start the acclimatization process. I'm gonna start with this philodendron bicolor mini purple guy. It's in the moss that it usually comes in, which is this like really finely shredded up moss. It's a lot easier to take off when it's in moss like this. I'd be surprised if there were any roots at all in this guy. It's so tiny. Okay, so yeah, some of these roots are really good. I would be surprised if they continued to grow because they're so delicate and fine. So I'm gonna pretty much treat this as a complete reroot. The stem is really weird, but it at least gives me some good area to work with in terms of getting some roots on it. So here's what that looks like. I'm not gonna clean things up just yet. I'm going to get everything unpotted first. Now, while I'm unpotting the other ones, I'm just gonna get this back into moss so that whatever good roots are on there doesn't dry up completely. And now I've got the Elaphoglossum metallicum. I literally know nothing about this plant, and I'm hoping that the black ends on this are normal. I mean, the leaves look healthy, so maybe it is, but I probably should have done some research on this guy before it actually came in. So these roots are black and absolutely dry. Black roots don't always mean that it's necessarily dead. There are some plants that I have in my collection where even the new roots, like, I don't know, it's just brown and gross looking. I can't remember which plant it is, but I always mention whenever I repot it that it just has ugly roots. I think it might be my Begonia malachosticta, if I can remember correctly. Like all the new roots on it are just like brown and dead looking. So I don't always assume that brown roots mean it's dead, but for roots that feel like this, that are literally so brittle, I just don't trust them. And I wouldn't doubt if this one is gonna be one that I have to reroot completely. Although I pretty much treat all of my imports as rehabs, like they have to be rerooted from scratch again. Yeah, I don't like these roots. They're so crispy and dry, and this moss is actually so dry too. There's like not an ounce of humidity in here, or humidity, there's not an ounce of water in here. Oh, so it looks like there was new growth coming and it died. You guys can see this little frond right here. Kind of grows like a fern, but again, I don't know what I'm looking at. What the heck is this thing? I mean, it's firm, which is good. I'll say that of all the plants, I'm obviously the most concerned about acclimatizing this one because I just don't know what I'm looking at here. I've never acclimatized one of these things before. I can't see any visible stem. It's just this fuzzy, furry looking thing. And I'm just highly confused at what this thing is. Well, I'm gonna try and get this cleaned up as best as possible anyway. I am gonna start over because look at these roots. They're completely dry. I wouldn't doubt if these ones were healthy when they put it in here, but this is dry. There's not an ounce of water in this moss. Anywho, I'm not gonna bother ripping all this moss off because I'm actually just gonna remove all of these roots. Like they are absolutely dead and dry. So there's that guy. Next one is my Veitchii Super Narrow. My hope is that they've left a good sized chunk on it for rooting reasons, obviously. Hold on, my phone is popping off. This is Amanda. She's Armando in my phone. Basically, I am leaving the fate of my Veitchii Narrow and my Pallidiflorum in her hands. I've told her that she's gonna pick what I am rooting it in or what I'm acclimatizing it in. And I have an idea of what I wanna do. I wanna do perlite, but I'm gonna see what Amanda says. She says that she wants to see what the roots look like. Okay, I'm very happy. I can see a decent size stem. It is very, very black, but I've mentioned before, don't base what you think the health of the stem is on the color of it because they do oxidize. I can feel that it's not super firm because I can feel a little bit of softness to it. I'll show you how I determine what is a dead or alive stem once we get started here, but here are the roots. It's not terrible, but again, I don't really trust any import roots that it comes with, but I'm gonna chop off ones that are like dead, and the ones like this where I can see some new roots forming, I'm gonna leave it because we're gonna see what it does. Obviously, I'm gonna clean up this chunk and then we'll see what Amanda says. I don't want these to dry out in the meantime, so I am going to get it in. Whoa. I'm gonna get them covered in the meantime because it really only takes a couple minutes for certain kinds of roots to dry out, particularly water roots. If you leave water roots out for more than like 5 minutes, it's like they're toast. Also hoping for a good sized stem here. One thing I will say about importing from Tropicals plants versus Ecuagenera, Tropicals plants put way more effort into their packaging. And again, they're now coming with these little pots, and the last import that I got from Tropicals plants was just pristine. Everything acclimatized so easily, like everything was in great condition. It's like it had never been shipped at all. And I just prefer the way that they export plants over Ecuagenera. I think it's because Ecuagenera is, I don't know, like I feel like Tropical Plants is pretty big now, but Ecuagenera just, they're so busy and they have so much volume to put out that like they can't spend as much time with the packaging. But Gilberto and his team, they definitely take the time. So I'm just getting a chance to inspect this leaf more closely for the first time, and I can kind of see what maybe looked like spider mite damage just based on these little spots. I'm not seeing any spider mites, but I'm gonna treat it like at one point maybe it did have spider mites. This could also just be, you know, stress too, but I've never really seen stress damage that looks like this. But anywho, just something that I wanted to point out. Here are the roots on the Polydiflorum. I'm gonna just quickly send Amanda a picture of these. All right, so I'm gonna start sort of root trimming and doing stuff like that before I get it into the sink to wash down. I'm gonna start with, I think, the Elaphoglossum because I feel like this one requires the most trimming. I'm really freaking nervous, but man, I really wish that they came with at least some healthy roots because I have no freaking idea what I'm doing. So I'm just starting by chopping off all of these roots. So I will say that the roots are very, very similar to the Microcerum thailandicum, which is a fern that I used to have. It died recently, which I'm sad about, but I forgot to water it and it completely dried out. And those roots, even the brand new roots, are very, very dark. They look exactly like this, but just not this texture of it being dead. It's like, it's hydrated, it's, you know, bendable, it's not dead like this, but they look exactly the same. So if it's anything like the Microcerum thailandicum, I think I'll be okay because I've rehabbed that plant so many times and it's been okay. But you just never really know.
Yeah, they both look pretty good. They look like, the VGI2 looks like it has a lot of new, like active little lime green root tips. Shit, this is kind of hard. I mean, my gut is telling me like a tree fern, barky, perlite, maybe just like your soil mix with like added bark. Because I don't grow VGI, but I do know that they don't like staying wet. Like they definitely like drying out a little bit. Kind of like clear nervia, maybe not to that extent, but I've heard that they don't like as much water, but I have no idea because I don't own it. The Pallitiflorum, I would say pond because mine was doing so well, but it's only as one leaf right now and it's huge, but it's like, I feel like it gets a lot of edema, like it holds a lot of water in its leaves. Sorry, I'm not really helping at all, am I?
No, you are fine. I actually was thinking the same thing. I was gonna do like a tree fern fiber with a little bit of pon and perlite for both of them. But I was also like, I know that you've had really good success with just perlite. I don't think I've ever acclimatized in just perlite. But I don't know, I felt like with the way that these roots looked right now that I wanted to do something more like tree fern fiber. Okay, so here's what my little guy looks like. I don't think that I'm going to be peeling this thing all the way back to the rhizome, or am I? I mean, all of this is dead, but I'm just trying to be cautious here. One thing that I am happy about is that the stem is very firm, or the rhizome is very firm. But I just want to know what's under here, because there's a lot of like what I see soil or like peat moss. and a lot of dead roots. I feel like maybe I could probably scrape it back and just kind of see what's underneath here. And then hopefully I have a better chance at root growth if more of the rhizome is exposed. But I think I need to soak this in some water first to loosen it up. So that's what I'm gonna do really fast.
Yeah, I have definitely acclimatized and perlite, but that's usually when there's like really sketchy roots. Like those to me look, I would like pot that up in, you know, in.
Whoa, what the heck? Can this stop?
Also, I remember Tyler saying something about veitchii, the narrow form, growing a lot better in cooler conditions. So I'm assuming you're gonna put these guys just on your shelf where it's cooler, not in your plant room, which would be good. And what else was I gonna say? Yeah, I would go with what you were gonna say with the tree fern and perlite and pond. And I would also maybe add some of your rupta bark, because them being like super epiphytic, you know, like they're never really found close to the ground at all. I think they would benefit from a more like barky substrate, but I do know that your humidity is lower, so maybe never mind, scratch that, because it might dry out too quick then for you.
Stem is amazing. It looks, do you guys remember, for those of you guys who follow Alice's channel, we did, or maybe it was on my channel, who grows it better, and she had a pallidiflorum and there was so many of the sheaths on it, and I peeled them back for her, and then it looked like a bunch of like stacked penis heads. This is exactly what that looks like.
Look at the stem.
It's naked.
It looks like
it's naked.
A worm or like a caterpillar. Look at all those nodes.
Look at it.
What?
Oh, it looks
what
like
have you done?
It looks like the tip of a penis, you know, at the end, at the head.
What have you done to my pallidiflorum?
No.
It's hideous. Hideous.
You need to put some clothes on it. It needs some pants or an underwear.
It looks like a human centipede.
Ew. Like, that looks so gross. But I am stoked. Look at this stem. It's so long. If this were not a new import, I would chop this thing right here. I mean, it's probably gonna be fine, but I'm not gonna put it under more stress than it already is under. So we're not gonna do that, but so happy that I have a lot of stem to work with. They definitely could have chopped this back more and, you know, propagated and sold, but they give you a lot of insurance, which is amazing. Not to rag on Equigenera, but some of the imports I've gotten from Equigenera, they give you the tiniest sliver of a stem that, you know, if you get it wrong the first time, you are screwed. And like Amanda said, so if you guys don't know who she's referring to when she says Tyler, he's a great account to follow. He grows plants that are just insanely massive. He's growing them indoors, he's growing them in ambient conditions. Like, he's freaking intense. He's insane. I love following him because he posts a lot of advice on like how he grows it. He shares things that he's observed with it, some of the struggles he's had with it, what's worked best for him, and it's just a very informative account. He does not post any of those because he could easily be an account that just like, you know, is an engagement grab because he has such amazing plants, but he's humble and he's just a great account to follow. So anywho, give Tyler a follow if you do not already follow him. So just taking you guys through this, I'm peeling back that top layer, and if this stem was dead, you would not see any of this sort of yellowy, pale. Why is my light? Oh my gosh, sorry. So yeah, if you start peeling it back and you're seeing this color tissue come through, that is not a dead chunk. So don't be fooled if you see what looks like a really terrible outside of the chunk. It's just, they oxidize, it's just what happens. They grow new gunk, and that's just the nature of it. So I'm actually not too worried about the outside of this. It's a great chunk to peel, but I don't actually feel the need to peel all of this back. It doesn't pose to me as a threat for the substrate to become really gunky and gross because it's so like caked on there, meaning it's not mushy at all. If I was able to just like go like this and it was just like wet and gross and it was just peeling off, I would not want to leave it. But this to me seems fine, and I'm not gonna be like water rooting it or anything. If I was water rooting it, it would eventually start getting really, really soft and then it would make the water gunky. But I am gonna opt for tree fern fiber and pon with bark and stuff. So what I wanna do is really just peel back this top layer here, maybe up to like right here, so that I have a better chance at growing some roots along this stem. I'm not really too concerned about growing anything down here. I'm really just focusing on this newer stem. By the way, if you are new here, if you're wondering what the heck I am using to scrape this plant, this is actually, there's been a lot of debate about what this actually is, but the consensus seems to be that it's an earwax scraper. I actually received this in a kit with like a nail kit for Christmas. So I'm not 100% sure what it could be, but everyone is, or most people are saying an earwax scraper for like hard wax. And yeah, it comes in handy. It's like the perfect size to clean chunks like this. And if you don't already have one and you would like to clean your chunks, there are a few on Amazon that people have gotten that they liked. I don't have any links for it because I don't want to link you to a scraper that I haven't actually used myself. But yeah, just an FYI on that. And then the reason that I scrape my chunks is to get it cleaned up. I don't want any like yucky, gunky stuff in my substrate if I can help it. I also find that it activates the stem a lot faster in terms of new growth or new root growth, just growth in general. And yeah, I've had a lot of good success with it. It does require some, there's like kind of a, I guess, a learning curve in getting comfortable with the scraper, especially on anthuriums where like the axillary buds can be so hidden. You don't want to like really damage them to a point where nothing will ever grow out of it. So yeah, there's definitely like some learning that comes with it, but as you do it more, you get used to it. And I think once you have success with chunk scraping, you'll never really go back to not doing it. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna scrape. You can see I've left this bottom part as is, and I'm just gonna focus on this part here to get some good roots.
So I was thinking, I feel like if you still have soil, but yeah, you do, I think, right? The soil, the big bin that you just made for your last video, the repot and chat, I feel like that would be fine with if you just added a little bit of tree fern and then either like bark or perlite, something to like aerate it. I feel like both of those plants would do really well in that.
All right, well, you heard her. I've never actually used soil as an acclimatization substrate, but I feel better about doing it with tree fern fiber. So we're gonna concoct something special for the veitchii. For the pallidiflorum, I think I'm just gonna opt to do a tree fern fiber mix and not with soil. Final one to get cleaned up before the soak is this Elaphoglossum metallicum, and I am scared, but it's been soaking for a little while now. All right, let's see what's going on under here. I'm gonna start at the tail end first. I'm not gonna scrape too hard. I just wanna get whatever soily gunk is off of here because I do think I'm going to attempt to grow this in pon. Don't ask me why, that's what my gut is feeling. Although it looks like they were growing this in soil, but they grow pretty much all of their plants in soil or moss or something. I am seeing a stem or a rhizome that's not filthy. And I'm not gonna scrape too hard. I just wanna get this surface layer gunk off. The stem is very, very firm though, which is a great sign. If I can get this thing to root, I'm gonna feel unstoppable. I'm not even gonna be humble about it either. This thing looks like something that came from the upside down. I think a piece of gunk just went into my eye. Okay, yeah, that one, ow. That one is fully in my eyeball. I wear goggles when I do this. This one is fighting back for sure. She's a feisty one. We're gonna go to the sink now and get everything cleaned up. So now I'm just using like room temp water. You don't want to do too cold, you don't want to do too hot. And I'm just gonna give these guys a little soak for about maybe 15-20 minutes, just to bring some kind of like moisture back to the plant as much as they can through the leaves. It does take like a long time for plants to really absorb anything through the leaves. It's much slower than through the substrate, but I find that with imports, anything helps before you get them potted and into whatever acclimatization bin or tent you're gonna use. And I'm glad that I'm working with pretty small plants this time, because acclimatizing like large plants, seriously, is it's so stressful. If I saw any visible pests, like, you know, I've had imports that have come with mealybugs and thrips and whatever, this process would look a lot different. I'd be using my cast iron soap, and I would likely use a very, very light pesticide like the Safer's insecticidal soap, just to use it to kill any visible bugs, but I did not see any on these plants, which is great news. So I'm just gonna do my normal acclimatization process. So these are just gonna stay in here for about 15-20 minutes, and then I'll get them out. We're going to be mixing a little batch for my, okay, hold on. I think I'm gonna do the philodendron mini bicolor, mini purple thing in, honestly, I think I'm gonna do water for that, because that thing is just so tiny. I might do the 2-cup dome method for that, so I don't have to worry about it. And then I have my beachy, which I'm gonna do in a chunky, soily, tree fern fibery mix. My pallidiflorum will be in something pretty similar, but I think I'm gonna go heavier on, maybe heavier on the perlite and pon. And then who else do I have? Oh, the elaphoglossum. Oh, God. I rooted my Microsterum thailandicum in pon, so I might do a mixture of perlite and pon with that. So, okay, sorry. I just had to go through it so that I know how much I'm mixing. So really this mixture is gonna be for the 2 Anthurium. I'm gonna start with soil. I'm just doing my regular aeroid mix. It's gonna be, I think I'm gonna go heavier on the tree fern fiber, just because I've never like acclimatized in soil before, but I'm going with Amanda's suggestion. Ugh, God, my face. And I'm gonna trust the process. And if it doesn't work, then, you know, we try it. Oh my God, there's so many different things in my contacts right now. I'm gonna just start by breaking apart this tree fern fiber. Sometimes tree fern fiber have these little clumps. If you can be bothered, I would pull them apart, because once roots grow into that little clump, there's no saving them. I may sound muffled because I'm putting a mask on. I just blew my nose and it was It was all tree fern fiber and soil. I usually wear a mask anyway when I'm doing plant stuff. Just I have OCD and I'm just weird about like things getting on my face. So yeah, I just don't wear it obviously when I'm filming because it muffles the sound a little bit, but I think I can fix it in post. What in the heck is that? Oh, what is that? Why am I even opening it more? No. Whoa. Oh. Hello.
Hi.
Oh no! Did you break your iPad? Yeah.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
No. Hi, Papa. Hello. Okay,
Z-E-T.
Did you lose Z and Tay? I've been missing you, Lily.
Okay, so I'm on a FaceTime call with my family, but I just want to finish doing this really quick. So I'm adding also some reptile bark. This is probably going to be way too much, but I'll just save it. And if you guys don't remember, this is called my dirty pond, the ones that have like broken roots in it and stuff. And then perlite. Okay, so it's been actually, it's probably been like half an hour because I got stuck on a call with my niece for a very long time, which I don't mind. She hasn't actually FaceTimed me in a while, so that was nice. She always manages to catch me while I'm filming though. I can see sort of like algae in this midrib, which is not cause of concern, but I just want to get it as clean as possible. I actually thought it was scale when I first opened it. This seems like a plant that would be very, very scale prone because of how like thick and rigid the leaves are, but luckily it's just algae. Normally I would just let this air dry, but because I'm not putting this into water right away, I don't want like all the soil and stuff to get stuck on it. So I will say that one thing that I do differently now with acclimatization is that before I used to just leave everything in water for like 2-3 weeks, and honestly you can get some really nice roots on the plant in just water and high humidity. But now that I'm just like more comfortable with imported plants, and I'm more comfortable with some of the substrates I'm using now besides moss, I just feel more confident going into it using a different kind of substrate. That's one thing that I can say for sure that I do different now, because before these would have just gone straight into water and I wouldn't really touch them for close to a month. I'm gonna start with my Veitchii, I think. Or wait. Yeah, Veitchii, sorry. I'm gonna use one of these clear, I think it's like a deli cup, no drainage holes. Just gonna put a little layer down at the bottom, and I am going to be inoculating these today. I'm going with my trusty Billions. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. Oh my gosh, this plant is so beautiful. I can't get over how pretty this plant is. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy with it. Okay, so this, I'm feeling good about this. It's a pretty chunky mix. I am going to be acclimatizing this, I think outside of a bin. I'm not 100% sure yet. I might try and squeeze it into an exo. The only hesitation that I have is that I don't want any pests transferring, whether from my plants to this one or this one to that one. So I'll just have to see, but we're gonna just sit on it for now. The next one that I'm gonna do is my Pallidiflorum. And I'm also gonna do this one in one of these cups, I think. So let's get a little layer down at the bottom. My prediction for this plant is that half of these half of these roots are going to just turn into mush, but sometimes it'll surprise you. You never really know. I was gonna do a more perlite heavy substrate for this, but I think it's gonna be okay. I am gonna eventually move this to pond, I think, or I might try growing it in soil or tree fern fiber long term, just because my other Pallidiflorum is growing in pond and might be nice to kind of just test out a different substrate. This one is also done. I'm doing the 2-cup dome method. Again, I have shown this in other videos, I can't remember which one, but I do this for pretty much any sort of trailing plant like the micans. What else have I done it on? I recently did it with the Xerosisio stanguii. I did it with my philodendron var hederaceum, and just a bunch of plants that like can kind of tend to root really slowly or lose their leaves while they're rooting. So I've had really good success with this method. All you're gonna do is get 1 cup. This is probably even too much water. I'm gonna dump a little bit out somewhere. I'm just doing this much water. You just need the water in there for the humidity. And then you take another cup and you put it over it. You can do a rubber band. I just do tape because I'm not gonna need to open this thing for a while. And the key when you're doing the 2-cup dome method is warmth and light. Depending on the plant, you don't want to put it too close to a light if it's something like the micans that bleaches easily. I don't know the tendencies of this plant, but I think I'm going to just be sticking this in my tent because it's very bright in there, it's very warm, and I'll be able to get a good amount of humidity in here, and hopefully get some root along that stem. Last one is this Elaphoglossum metallicum. I think that I'm actually just going to be doing a very perlite heavy tree fern fiber for it, and I need something tallish. I think I'll do this one so that it doesn't tip over, since these petioles are actually very rigid. They're so like thick and firm and stiff. Am I okay? So yeah, if I put it in something plastic, I think it would just topple right over. So I want it to have something heavier to lean these petioles against. So I think I'm gonna do some sort of parfait method here. I'm gonna need a little bit of leca, and then I'm gonna mix a smaller batch of my tree fern fiber in here. Ugh. Feeling pretty good about this ratio. I'm gonna start by adding some leca down at the bottom so that I can keep a reserve down at the bottom of the vessel. Another reason I'm adding leca is because this is gonna be in here for a while, and the roots that are gonna grow at the very bottom of this vessel is going to be more acclimatized to being in water. And when I eventually move this to pond, if we make it there, I mean, hopefully we make it there, once I move this to pond, it'll be a much easier transition than if I just had purely all tree fern fiber roots. So I'm gonna add a little layer up at the top of this leca. I don't want to bury this rhizome too deep because they do emerge as fronds, and I should just pluck this off because it's dead. But somehow I can't get myself to do it. But do you see this right here? So they come out really, really small. I guess I should just take it off. No, I'm not. I'm gonna let it fall off. Yeah, I don't want it to be buried too deep or else it's not gonna be able to come out. So it'll be just like that, and I'm just gonna bury enough of it so that it stays upright. But holy smokes, this leaf with this light, please, please, please put me out of my misery. It's just too good. So anyway, here is this plant. The rhizome is just right above here. I have buried the tail end of this deeper to get some roots, and the top half of this is right on the surface so that if I do get a new leaf on it, it won't have any problems emerging out of the little frondy thing. And we're just, again, gonna say a prayer to the plant gods and hope that they are with me during this next month. So this is the box that I'm using to acclimatize the plants. I've added a really thin layer of moss down at the bottom just to kind of maintain some of that humidity because this box is not gonna be packed. I'm gonna try and squeeze this Elaphoglossum in here like this. I'm gonna squeeze my Pallidiflorum. I don't really want my Pallidiflorum sitting like on wet substrate, so let's see. I can go like this to keep them above, or to keep them from touching the actual moss, and then I'm not sure I'm gonna acclimatize this veitchii in the tent because I kind of feel like it might be too warm for it actually, and I don't want to stress it in that way. So I think I am gonna risk it and maybe try and make some exo space or clear out an exo just for this veitchii, which I will be more than happy to do. But I'm not feeling great about acclimatizing it in this bin with the rest of these guys. And then this one will also just squeeze in here as well. So this is where the acclimatization box will live for pretty much the next month. I will air this out maybe once or twice a week just to get some like air flowing in there, or I'll just keep the lid propped like this for like a day. You just want to keep an eye on it, make sure there's no like mold happening, because sometimes these prop boxes can get really gross. A lot of times too, especially on emergent leaves, you'll have like water, you'll get a lot of condensation on it just depending on how much humidity and water is in there. But sometimes you'll have like condensation drops that drip onto the leaves, and then like with the added light and the warmth, it actually will just like burn through that leaf. So if you are doing a prop box situation like this, it's, in my opinion, it's not something that you sort of just set it and forget it. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But if you're like still experimenting with it, or this is your first time importing, I would just make sure to air it out, just kind of check on things, make sure everything looks okay. And yeah, hopefully it's smooth sailing from here. But just want to give you guys an idea of where it's going to be living for the next month. I managed to clear out this exo for my veitchii. This is my coolest exo. I only have 10 watt bar up in the front, so it's not a ton of light. This top mesh is not completely enclosed, so the humidity sort of fluctuates anywhere between like 40% and like 45, so it's not super high humidity, but I want to kind of try and boost it a little bit. So I'm gonna add some moss to this drip tray here. So the last thing on the list to do for all of these plants is to give it a good drink. This is just water, but I'm gonna be adding some of my billions to it as well, since it is water soluble. Today is February 20th. It has been just a bit over a week now, 10 days since the event. So here's the philodendron bicolor mini purple. God, I don't even know what plant this is. You guys can see right there, there are little roots. I don't want to open it up, but, oh, right there. Do you see those roots popping from that top aerial root and also from the one below it? I just love this method so much. It's like foolproof. It works every time. So this is doing great. I actually haven't even lost any leaves on it yet, which is very, very surprising. But that's doing fine. This is the Elaphoglossum metallicum. Let's take you over here. This one I was a bit more worried about because I basically just chopped off every single one of those dry roots. Everything is looking really good so far. I can kind of see, I feel like this leaf right here is lightening up a bit. I don't know if you guys can tell, sort of in this region right here, I can see it's becoming a little bit lighter in color. There's a chance that this one may die off first, but it's still very, very firm and seemingly happy still. I can't get over how beautiful this freaking leaf is. It's like blue. No signs of roots just yet. I could pop this out and kind of see what's going on in there. Let me see. Oh my god, it's so hard to do this one-handed. Everything is still feeling very firm though, but no sign of life just yet. Okay, next one is the Polydiflorum. Still looking like a freaking snack. I'm just cracking everywhere. Let's get this guy down. Ow! I'm not used to filming like this where I like hold my camera. It's probably gonna be so shaky. But yeah, everything is still looking really, really good. I'm not seeing any yellowing, which is great considered I was like hacking off roots. Even the oldest leaf, which is so stinking cute, it looks like a little Hoya. No yellowing at all. But also no signs of root growth from what I can see. So far nothing is really going on with this plant besides the fact it's pushing out a new leaf. You are an overachiever, you little angel. Still really, really good in comparison to what most imports would look like at the 1 week mark. Last but not least, we have my little Veitchii here, which is also still looking like a friggin' snack. Some good news to report. She figured herself out. Look, she's not bent anymore. She completely straightened out. Still has a few little marks from where it got bent, but overall looking really good. And in terms of roots, I don't think I have seen anything lately. Actually, I spoke too soon. So that little guy right here is a new root right there. And I think there is another one. Please don't drop this. Right there is a new root as well. You can see like how white and brand new it looks. But we have signs of life and I am so stinking happy. It's been way easier of an acclimation than I expected. I am just gonna rehydrate this moss because I've been trying to spray this like every 3 days just to keep up humidity in here since this is the only plant in here. I'm just gonna place this guy in here and I will leave it in here for about, hopefully it stays on, but I'm gonna leave it here for about 5 minutes. Okay, so it is sitting at about 44% humidity, which is about 10% more humid than the rest of the room. Ideally, I would like to have it at 50% humidity in here at least, or 55, but it's hard to maintain that humidity when there's only a single plant in it. So that's why like things like moss walls and having just a whole bedding of moss is great to keep up humidity. But yeah, it's fine because I'm eventually going to be growing this in my living room, so I don't want it to get too comfy, but I wanted to make sure that it was happy enough in the next month so that we can strengthen her up, get some nice roots, and basically just build her up strong enough so that she doesn't need to live in a greenhouse. Okay, so you guys might be hearing the laundry in the background, but a little update. Today is March 6th, so this is going to be the second to last update before I wrap up this video. It's going to be 4 days until we hit the 1 month mark. So with this philodendron bicolor mini purple, whatever this is, we definitely are getting some root action along the stem, which is going to be great for starting it on a lazy pole. And we have some start of new roots down at the bottom as well. And that's going to be good for obviously potting it, but the roots are nowhere near where I'd want them to be to get them potted. I want to say that this one's going to be a little bit of a tricky transition because the roots are so fine. I think I might opt for like a very, very lightweight tree fern fiber mix, but again, that's not going to happen for a long time. It's probably going to be living in here for like another month or even longer if it'll stay in here that long. If anything, I can just put a taller cup. I think this one might be a new leaf, but this one is definitely a new leaf. And it's really cute. I like the texture of it. I would open it, but yeah, it's all taped up. But you know, it's doing fine. Not too bad. The next one is the Elaphoglossum metallicum. I did some work on this off camera and I wish I recorded it, but I was in one of those days where things were like kind of hectic and the last thing I wanted to do was take my camera out. I went to do a check-in on it one night and it was so droopy and soft and I was like, oh no, this is bad. So I like in a panic removed it from the tree fern fiber mix and just shoved it into water and it like immediately perked up the next day. Like if you saw this leaf, it was so soft and it was like curled over, the poor thing. But now it's like nice and firm again. Actually, all the leaves are firm again. And yeah, no action really on this caterpillar looking rhizome. No glimmer of roots, no glimmer of life just yet, but you know, I'm not gonna lose hope. I really am just hoping and praying that water does it some good. The leaves, I feel like, are not really showing any kind of stress, which I find to be very surprising. If anything, maybe this leaf has lightened up just a little bit, but like really, I could be just making that up in my head, but it kind of seems like it's beginning to lighten up like around here, but it still looks super, super good for being, you know, rootless and sort of, I guess, in a state of stress, I would assume. The next update is the Anthurium beechii super narrow. I have heard that veitchii leaves are very, very slow to harden off, like if not one of the slowest Anthurium to harden off, and I believe it because this was an emergent leaf like almost a month ago and it's still super soft and floppy, like it's got some growing to do still, and it has definitely grown. I'm kind of using the pot as like a marker because when I first potted it in here, the leaf was like this tiny, and now it's like almost reaching the bottom of this pot and it looks like it still has some ways to go. The potting situation is looking pretty good. Those roots that I was trying to show you before, sorry, that's my laundry, they are becoming more prominent now in terms of new roots being shown. Oh, I think I showed that to you already. So everything is looking really good from what I can see. And then the last one, this new guy just opened up or just emerged, and look at how freaking sharp it is. Like it hasn't fully opened yet, but you can see how narrow that leaf is. It's insane. Like you know, I've seen new Pallidiflorum leaves before and they're like never this skinny and long. So I'm really excited to see how big this one becomes. But the propagation bin is doing it some good. I can see some new roots along this stem here. And I can't remember if I saw any new roots in the substrate, but I don't think so. But you know what? It's fine because it seems happy enough. And I definitely have insurance up here now. So I want to get this back in the bin right away before those roots dry out. But no leaf yellowing, like the oldest leaf on it, which is like one of my favorites actually. It's so cute. Hasn't yellowed at all. In general, I just feel like all of these plants have been such troopers since the show, and it's not like I was hoping that we would see some leaf loss and yellowing and stuff, but I wanted to give you guys like a good idea of kind of what it, like the reality of importing is most of the time, like in terms of the plants being stressed. But I'm telling you, the last 2 imports from Tropicals plants has just been incredible. Like it's almost like they were not new imports at all. I will say the only sort of like damage that I can see is down here where things got a little funky, but like I wouldn't even really consider that to be anything. And then here where there was a little bit of like, I can't remember what happened here, but yeah, a little bit of warping. Overall though, everything is looking really good. But yeah, maybe Friday can show you how much this sort of expands in the next few days. Okay. I am struggling today. I have arthritis, specifically in my arms, and I'm just not doing well, okay? I'm not doing well. I'm doing horrible, but the show must go on. It must. So today is March 13th. And to prove it to you, hello, can you go away? Why do I have every app open on my phone? I'm like, why is my phone dying so fast? Like, why do I have the maps open? I literally haven't left the house in like 72 years. March 13th. March 13th. I think you can see. And my little adorable tiny babies. It's been over a month now since the day of the show, and we're gonna see how they're doing. Hopefully I've got some solid updates for you. I haven't checked on these since the last time that I checked in with you guys. So let's do the VGI Super Narrow first. Okay. This leaf has gotten, I would say, significantly larger. You can see it's getting sort of towards the bottom of this pot now. There's about this much space left, and in comparison to the other leaves, it's definitely got some size on it, and still very, very soft. I don't know how long it takes these guys to harden off, but hey, if she wants to grow more, I'm not gonna freaking stop her. I'm her biggest cheerleader. We're just gonna keep going. The root Sichi is looking good. I showed you before that it's got some of these nice white roots coming in. It was a good call to leave the roots that it already had on it. I can see some of the older roots as well are starting to get a little bit fuzzier, where it's got like those little hairs on the outside of the root, which is good. It means that it is alive and well. And I'm not seeing any rotty roots, which, you know, I will definitely take. I want to just dig in here and see if we've got any new roots happening on the stem, but I am not seeing anything, which is fine because everything's happening below the substrate, and you know, we take what we can get. So VGI doing just terrific. Elaphoglossum metallicum. My poor little angel. Still absolutely nothing. I'm like zooming in with my eyeballs to like find any glimmer of hope anywhere. But we've got we've got nothing so far. I'm grasping for straws here to try and show you something to prove that I'm not a failure, but nothing so far on this one, but I will definitely keep you guys updated maybe in about another month. Leaves look really good still. They haven't really like lightened up or yellowed any more than they did in that first like week or whatever. So I can't complain, honestly, for as much as I did to it, like literally chopping off all of those roots plus scraping the crap out of this rhizome. I don't know. I guess I just assumed worse would happen to it. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then I have the philodendron bicolor mini purple. Kind of the same, definitely more roots along the bottom area than from what I showed you before. These roots are getting longer up on the stem. Now, this is a terrarium plant, and I don't know like if it gets any larger than this, but I'm gonna assume that maybe it's like a Burley Marks Fantasy, where yeah, like if you just kind of let it vine or whatever, like you don't give it anything to climb, it kind of stays the same size. But if you do let them climb and you let them hold on to something, they get significantly larger. So we'll see. I eventually want to get this onto something that it can climb just to see if it gets larger. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it in here. There is a new leaf coming in, which is great. And I'm just gonna kind of let this ride for maybe another month, honestly, before I do anything to it. But I will make sure to take you guys throughout the process once I do get that repotted. And then the last one is my Polydiflorum. So this is how much the leaf has grown since then. Not a ton of growth, but definitely some growth since you saw it. And yeah, very, very skinny and sharp and dagger-like, and it's beautiful. These are getting longer, and what I can do is just keep it in this bin and eventually just kind of point them. I mean, they'll eventually, I think, find its way to the substrate since that's where the humidity is. And yeah, these will eventually go into, or they will root into this substrate. But I've got some roots, which is really exciting. You guys can see some of those delicious, delicious white fuzzy roots happening. There's some up here. So I'm just I'm a happy girl. I really can't complain. I really can't. Not too much to be worried about with this plant. She's kind of sorted herself out. I am going to keep it in this bin, like I said, for a bit longer, at least until this new leaf hardens off. And then I will eventually acclimatize it out. But for now, she's gonna stay in there. I think I was gonna I thought maybe after a month that, I don't know, this one might be ready to move, or I would be ready to maybe build like an extension of the pot for the Polydiflorum, but I'm not quite there yet. But I do think I have enough for this video to kind of show you guys what the import process was like. Again, I mentioned this before. This just recently importing from Tropicals Plants, it has just been a night and day experience from when I was first importing specifically from Equigenera and, you know, exporters out of Indonesia. So I don't know, maybe one day I'll have like a really, really gnarly, in a bad way, import video to show you guys. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to wish for, but I would like to try and capture some of that on this channel. But I mean, nothing really was too difficult in this import besides my Elaphoglossum metallicum, but I'm still learning a lot about that plant. But overall, everything was great. I am so happy with this import. I'm really glad that I decided to go with all of this different kinds of substrate methods that I went with. So if you guys are importing an Elaphoglossum metallicum, honestly, if I could do anything different, I probably would have just put it straight in water. What else? Oh, there is, okay, so Tropicals Plant is coming back again for another pop-up in May, and there's another Elaphoglossum that I am eyeing, and I know it seems a little bit it seems a little bit premature to like order another Elaphoglossum considering I have done nothing productive with this one, but let me show you what it looks like. It's called an Elaphoglossum lanceolatum, I think, and oh my gosh, it's basically like, it looks almost like the Microcerum thailandicum, but just like really long strappy leaves, and I need it, and it's only like $15 through the Tropicals Plants website. So if you've been looking for another Elaphoglossum to import, this is one that I'm eyeing right now. I am probably gonna order it, to be honest, because for that price it's really hard to like not, but I think that's the only thing I'm going to pre-order for this next pop-up. But I just wanted to mention it because I don't know, I discovered it, what was it, last night, and yeah, thought that you guys would enjoy it too. So anywho, that is it for this video. I hope you guys found some things useful. If you have any questions about them, please let me know. I will try and do another update on all of these plants in maybe about 3 months. I think that's like a good marker to give you guys sort of a peek at what they're looking like. Of course, if I do any kind of repotting or substrate changes or anything within that time frame, I will make sure to do it on camera. And yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you have any import questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments. If I get enough import questions regarding, If I get enough questions regarding importing, I might do just a, I can't talk today, my arm hurts so bad. I might do a dedicated video on import Q&A. So anyway, I'm blabbing, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm a hot mess today.